All right. Well, I'm back from shoveling some snow. We get snow where I'm at, a lot of it. Anyway, time to talk about the Royal Rumble matches from yesterday's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I'm going to start with the women's Royal Rumble because, well, I guess first I should say if you just are seeing this video, I also have a video where I discuss the standard matches yesterday. At Royal Rumble. If you're not watching this on Monday, most of you probably aren't. So look for that too if you're interested in my thoughts and feelings about any of those things. Um, so the Women's Royal Rumble. Uh, the first thing of note that happened was Natty. She was in first. Well, second. Um, Lacey Evans was in first. There's no difference. We all know they might as well call both the first two people one, and then the next person that they bring in just call them three, because there's really no difference between if you went first through 30th and you won, there wouldn't be any difference between that and going second through 30th and winning. Really, would there? No. Anyway, so it was Natty and Lacey Evans in the ring to start things off. And, that was a pretty good show. I can't remember who came in next, but Natty did a double sharpshooter. She had two women in the sharpshooter. It was like a single leg sharpshooter. Sharpshooter. She had two women in the sharpshooter. I almost called it a single leg Boston Crab, but it's not. It's sharpshooter. And that was probably the first time she's earned her TV time, really, in the ring, right, in a while. That was cool. That was one of the cooler spots of the night to that point. I wrote it down as being memorable. So, it was pretty cool. Ember Moon, however, she came in, I think, like sixth or eighth or something like that early. And by the way, back to Natty for a second. She was looking really strong through the whole Rumble, but especially through the first four people. She had the double sharpshooter, and then she threw Liv Morgan, I think it was. Yeah, Liv Morgan right out of the ring, getting a little revenge on the Riot Squad, which is, I guess, good. The story comes full circle a little bit that way. So she gets a little Riot Squad revenge after they broke her dad's son. Those really weren't her dad's sunglasses. I hope everybody understands that. She didn't bring her dad's real sunglasses to the ring and then they didn't break them. That her dad, for anybody who doesn't know, that's not what happened. It was just some sunglasses that looked like Jim Neidhart sunglasses, probably some that they sold in the gift shop back in the day, right? Or maybe even still. I haven't been to a WWE show, so I don't know what they're selling. But those weren't the real ones, and yeah. So she gets a little bit of Riot Squad revenge and looks really strong through the whole time she's in. She's probably in the match for 30 minutes or something like that, or 40 minutes even, maybe. I don't know. She's in it deep. Ember Moon comes in sixth or eighth, something like that, and she is just putting on a show, as is usual with Ember Moon. She's on TV, or at least was on TV quite a bit. I'm having trouble remembering if she's been on TV a whole lot lately. I know I've seen her. She's always great, always entertaining. She's always one of the better wrestlers, male or female, in the whole company, as far as her in-ring work, and I really like her whole crazy persona, the war goddess or whatever. It works for me. She's pretty damn cool. But she has this amazing toe save, and we're watching it with my wife, and she's like, "Oh my, you gotta be kidding me!" And she's yelling at the TV, and I am too, because it's crazy. It's the first really, really good Rumble save of the night. If those girls were really, I think it was the Viking Riot Squad. I can't remember her name right now. Sarah Logan. think it was Sarah Logan and can't remember who else, trying to get her off of the ropes, get her feet off the ropes, because she goes through, she goes over the top and does kind of like a handstand, and then kind of like saves herself from falling by gripping her toes around the bottom rope, and the girls couldn't get her feet off. They were trying to get her feet off, and they just couldn't do it. That was a really entertaining spot. She's always great. Naomi had a really excellent save. It was really short lived. She had eliminated Mandy Rose, got a little bit of revenge, and then Mandy Rose pulled her off of the apron, and so she did like a handstand walk back to the separation barrier between the audience and the ring area. And then against that, kind of like backwards bicycle kicked Mandy Rose in the face at least once, maybe twice, and then got herself up onto the sidewall, walked to the announce table, and jumped to the ring steps. Fantastic. That was really good. She got eliminated like 4 seconds later by somebody. I can't remember who, but it doesn't matter. She had done her little Royal Rumble memory. She had an excellent save. One of the best ones of the night. And so, and Casey Catanzaro, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She was also just incredible. She's from American Ninja Warrior, I'm pretty sure. And I haven't seen her a whole lot in the ring to this point, on NXT a little bit, but I think it was NXT. But she was awesome in the Rumble. She had a really good save too, I think. I can't remember exactly what she did. But yeah, it was also short-lived though. She got eliminated, which seemed to be kind of a theme tonight or last night throughout the Rumble matches. All these incredible saves, all of them very short-lived. Just I think everybody, including in the men's match, and I'll know when I get to see my notes, because it means a lot to see. You got to take some notes a little bit, try to do a video like this. I think everybody who had any kind of an impressive save of any kind was shortly afterward was eliminated. So Casey Catanzaro had some good moments within the ring and did some high-flying stuff, even in the Rumble, and she was really great, but she was eliminated shortly after her excellent save. Selena Vega was just hiding under the ring, and they showed that a couple of times, and then one of the times they showed it, Hornswoggle was under there. So what in the world, Hornswoggle? Anyway, so and then about 2/3 of the way into the Rumble, maybe more. It could have been around 25 or so. The crowd starts chanting, "We want Becky, we want Becky, we want Becky," and it's getting loud and it's getting loud. And Lana was injured earlier in the night when I think Rusev accidentally hit her. I had mentioned in the previous video about the single matches that Shinsuke Nakamura won back the United States Championship through shenanigans. And in those shenanigans, Lana was apparently injured. So at position 27 or 29 or something like that, it's Lana's turn to come out. And she's just limping to the ring. And gets attacked by Nia Jax, I think, on her way to the ring. And eventually Becky comes out. It's a big surprise. Becky gets a huge pop when she comes out, as per usual, even during the Royal Rumble with all this craziness. Just the sight of that red hair and the man coming to the ring, and the crowd is into it. They're more into it than they even were. So Becky gets this huge pop. It's been a really action-packed Rumble to this point. Charlotte Flair is in the ring already at this point, and she's eliminated a few women. She's looking pretty hot. She's looking like she might be the favorite to win it at this point. And when I say looking pretty hot, just for anybody who might be watching this for the first time, I don't mean attractive wise. I mean, not saying anything bad about her. That's not what I mean. She's like looking like she's on a hot streak. Um, so you know, it's a great time for Becky to enter the ring as far as drama is concerned, right? And so she comes in there and just starts. She goes a little bit on a roll. And I'm normally not a Bailey fan either. Bailey came in right around that time as well. I'm normally not a Bailey fan, but she came into the Rumble really strong. Like when she entered, she was just tearing things up. A friend of mine mentioned that there was a Bailey chant going on at the Royal Rumble. I don't know about that. I thought I heard a Becky chant. I don't remember. I know I heard a Becky chant. I'm not saying that the Bailey chant she heard was the Becky chant I heard. The only chant I remember hearing during the Women's Royal Rumble was for Becky. So it's getting a little dicey in the ring at this point. And we get down to the final three, and it's Nia, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch. This is like the perfect trio to close this match with. I don't think, even if you're a fan of one of the other women, that you could be really in a position to argue that this is not the three who should be at the end. And Nia hurts Becky's knee, and it's Charlotte versus Becky in the end. And Becky is limping around on her knee, and she's saying, fight me, I can go, fight me. And it's this big heroic moment. The crowd is into it. They're all chanting, they're all screaming. And Becky's just sitting there limping around like she can barely even move. And she just, fight me, I can go, fight me. Becky wins. Just like I kind of called. I think a lot of people who are in the position or consider themselves wrestling fans and like to talk to other wrestling fans and kind of prognosticate a little bit about what they think is going to happen. A lot of people maybe pick Becky winning, but I think them putting her in the match with Asuka to start the show, could have been anywhere in the show really, but to start the show, kind of throws people off the scent a little bit maybe, like, well, she's in a match. Is she going to really be in the Rumble, And, but, I called it. I'm going to say I called it. You maybe called it too, and if you did, pat yourself on the back. That's all I'm doing. None of this shit's important. But I give that match easily like 4.5, 4.7, even maybe stars out of 5. It was maybe the match of the night, and I think. Again, I think the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match could have been the match of the night if it was earlier in the show. Same match, nothing else different about it, just first or second or something. And I think it would have been a really, really big deal and be very memorable. But because it followed this match, it felt long. And I think that gives this match the edge over it in the ratings system, if anybody cares what I would, think about that sort of thing. Because this match was, not only was it a Royal Rumble match, which we're all hyped up for, but I feel like it really lived up to the hype. I mean, you're always in danger with matches like these of just not quite getting where they feel like they could have gotten to. And I can't say that about the Women's Royal Rumble match at all. It was a lot to digest. To review a Rumble match is like you're just looking for like the really memorable stuff, but you missed some things, or even if you didn't miss them in the moment, you missed them later, or they didn't seem important enough to write down, but then in the end that they were. I'm sure there's some stuff like that, and if I missed some stuff from that Rumble match, feel free to chime in the comments and tell me about some stuff that you thought was a big deal that I kind of glossed over, because I'm sure there is some stuff. But I'm going to move on to the Men's Royal Rumble match, which had a lot to... It's a tough road to go to have to follow the women's Rumble match, I think, in this case. But Elias was in the ring to start, and he was in the ring with his guitar, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the last guy, the absolute last person anybody expected to be like the big surprise at the Royal Rumble, Jeff Jarrett. What? And Jeff Jarrett ends up getting hit with a guitar. I mean, good sport. It looks like they're going to do a song together. Elias was like, man, we're here together right now, and the Rumble hasn't started yet. And I feel like it's like kismet or whatever, that we need to sit here and we're going to play a song. And you sing, I'll play, you sing, I think is what he says. And then he just, bam, with the guitar right over Double J's head. And the bell dings. That's the start of the Rumble match. Kurt Angle is a bit of a surprise. Johnny Gargano was in the match, and he came in strong. He came in looking really good. Samoa Joe was in at number 8, and Seth Rollins was in at number 10. Samoa Joe had a very, very strong showing. He was eventually eliminated by Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali's first elimination of the night, though, was Shinsuke Nakamura, which is always a good look for a young guy to eliminate an established veteran and a champion like that. I'm really on the Mustafa Ali train at this point. I think he's an asset to the company. He's an asset to SmackDown. Needs to be on TV every week for a while. Matches with different people. I'd love to see him go up against Rey Mysterio, even though, they're both kind of faces. I'd still love to see that match. I'd love to see him against Andrade. I would love to see him in a match one-on-one solo against Daniel Bryan. There's just a lot of matches I'd really love to see this dude in because he really brings it. He's really entertaining to watch. His moveset is just, it's diverse. He does a lot of high-flying stuff, but he's a really good ground wrestler too, very entertaining in that regard. Again, I can't say enough good about the dude. And he eliminated Shinsuke. He also eventually eliminated Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe caused a lot of havoc in the Royal Rumble. It's not like it was a wasted opportunity for Samoa Joe to like have a big showing or something like that. He did have a big showing, but he was eliminated, I'm pretty sure, by Mustafa Ali, and it was pretty late. Kofi had a really good save. I can't remember exactly what he did now, but it was. I wrote down that it was impressive at the very least, and he had another kind of botched save, like where his feet definitely touched the ground. At least one of them did, and I guess both feet have to touch, so he was technically safe. And Xavier Woods goes to try to bring him back into the ring, and then they both just get eliminated. And so, like again, another impressive save that was short-lived in the end. It'd be better to see something like that happen and somebody end up winning the Rumble one of these days. I'm sure it's happened before. I'm just not thinking of it right now. That somebody had an awesome save and then went on to win the Rumble. But it seems, at least this year, you could set your watch by, they just had a really impressive save from going over the ropes. They're about to get eliminated any second. Bye-bye, whoever, and No Way Jose, that's just a waste of a spot. He came out, he got eliminated. That was just a waste of a spot. He didn't even do anything entertaining. I mean, you could say the same thing about Xavier Woods, but at least he did something. He kind of contributed to like an impressive feat with Kofi, with him carrying him to the ring and catching him and stuff like that. And the timing of the whole thing, even if it did seem a little botched. It's harder to say he was a total waste of a spot. No Way Jose was a waste of a spot. I'm sure there's somebody else we could have put there. I was looking forward to seeing the Velveteen Dream. You could have put the Velveteen Dream in that spot. I don't see why you wouldn't, to be like totally frank. Instead, we get No Way Jose, who in the ring isn't an entirely untalented wrestler, right? Like, I mean, if you watch him, he's not bad, but his whole shtick is bad. That character needs to go away. Give Jose, whatever his real name is, a different job at the company. Not a wrestler, just a different persona, a different wrestler. They've done before. They're going to do it again. They need to do it with him. Maybe he gets knocked on the head and like becomes like super like maudlin and depressed or something. I'd be fine with just anything other than this conga line. He came out quoting Edgar Allan Poe or something, I'd be happier. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, Johnny Gargano was a big surprise, and he came in strong, and he really did work while he was in the ring. He did eventually get eliminated by Dean Ambrose. Drew McIntyre came in really hot. He was showing out. I kind of had a suspicion maybe he was going to win it for a little bit. Spoiler, he doesn't. But he was the only, when he came into the ring, he was the only one standing within 30 seconds, 20 seconds. He was the only one standing. I think some of the people were already slightly incapacitated when he came into the ring, but he must have knocked at least 6 dudes down, and like down hard. He looked like a strong candidate there for a little bit. And he's got the positioning in the company right now and within the storylines that it would be believable. It wouldn't be the main event at WrestleMania that I would want. Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. Just 2 people that are basically heels. It's not a lot to root for. I'd be excited for Drew McIntyre to be facing a face, even if he was going to win. I might even want him to win. But a heel matchup is, it's not good for me. Pete Dunne was also a bit of a surprise, and so was Aleister Black. And Aleister Black also really showed out strong. Obviously, the whole injury on Saturday night was completely fake. But, whatever. We all know this stuff should be fake. Every time somebody gets injured, I'm hoping it's fake. They really played up the storyline with him getting injured on Saturday within the ring, within the match against Tommaso Ciampa. So, it's a good way to assume that it was a fake injury because they were playing it up. But Black, he's just going around just spinning back, kicking everybody. And he eventually eliminated Dean Ambrose, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he had a really strong showing in the Rumble. I would be excited to see him. I always say I'd be excited to see these guys on Raw or SmackDown, but you just got to watch NXT. And I have to remember to watch NXT too. And I forget. And sometimes I have to watch like 2 in a row or something. I wish NXT was a little bit longer of a show, maybe 2 hours or something like that. Not to get into that topic on this. We're talking about Royal Rumble. But when you see a guy like Aleister Black show out like that, it's hard not to wonder what a match between him and somebody like Shinsuke or a match between him and somebody like Seth Rollins would ultimately look like. And it's a shame that we probably won't see it. It might be for the best, though, if you're an Aleister Black fan, because we all know that these guys have a tendency to not be handled the best, especially the more small ones, once they move to the main roster. So Shelton Benjamin had a nice save. And Jeff Hardy came in at 24. I thought maybe Jeff Hardy, he's never won the Royal Rumble. I could see him main event of WrestleMania. That'd be fine. We'd all be fine with that, I think. It's not pushing the company forward at all to have something like that happen, but I'd see it. I'd watch it. It'd be good. So he looked really strong when he came in. He wrecked everybody. And again, I think a couple people were down when he came in, but he must have knocked at least 5 or 6 dudes down right when he came in the ring. What are you going to... It was good. It was a good showing. Oh, yeah, Aleister Black also. I was just trying to read my writing there for a second because it's something I circled as though I really want to talk about it. He broke his finger or dislocated his finger during the Royal Rumble and snapped it back into place. Holy crap. I mean, it's fake, but holy crap, right? Anyway, so he was looking really tough and looking really good out there. He was eventually eliminated by Baron Corbin. Rey Mysterio came in at number 25 and had a little back and forth with Andrade within the ring. That was really great. Bobby Lashley came in at 26, and he was quickly eliminated by Seth Rollins, which is good because he's already got the Intercontinental Championship, and the last thing anybody wants to see is him take on Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Talk about a snooze fest. Anyway, especially at WrestleMania. Not that it would be a bad match in general at a different pay-per-view, but at WrestleMania, nobody wants to see that. That's a snooze fest. Uh, so he was quickly eliminated by Seth Rollins. Then he pulled Seth Rollins under the ropes and he put him through the table. The German announce table, because it's always a foreign announce table at these pay-per-views. You almost never see anybody go through the English announce table, like a regular announce table, ever. But if you're watching in German, then they put him right through your dude's tables. And that was a good spot. And I actually, at that point, forgot all about Seth Rollins. I forgot all about him. Spoiler, we don't see him again for a while. Strowman comes in at 27. He eliminates Baron Corbin. And that's probably my favorite thing that Braun Strowman has ever done. Because, again, you don't want Baron Corbin. I always worry with these people that come into the Rumble late that even though I don't want to see them in that match, that the company thinks that it would be good to have them in that match. And so thank goodness for Bobby Lashley going out quick, and thank goodness for Baron Corbin being put out by Strowman. Ziggler comes in at 28, and he eliminates Drew McIntyre, gets a little bit of a revenge for all that stuff over the fall and early winter here. And then Randy Orton, he's coming in at 29, and Strowman lifts everyone off the turnbuckle at one point in time. It was Ali and Andrade were on the turnbuckle, and Strowman lifted them both up in like a kind of superplex looking kind of thing. And Rey Mysterio actually jumped off of the same turnbuckle and kicked everybody over, and that was a fantastic spot. And I'm not usually big on the feats of strength and things like that being at all important or at all a big deal to me, but that was a cool one. That was impressive to see him lift both of them guys like that, hanging on to each other. It was a little bit sloppy in the way it got set up. It was very, very telegraphed, and you could see everybody kind of like hooking on and like, but still, Braun's got to lift those men, and he did. He absolutely did, right over his damn head. So that was a really cool spot. And then Nia Jax invades the men's Royal Rumble in place of R-Truth, and I called it from the very beginning. Not that it would be Nia Jax, but from when R-Truth won and Carmella won the mixed match challenge and were given the right to come in 30th in the Royal Rumble. I said Carmella coming in 30th in the Women's Royal Rumble is maybe a little bit of like a weird flex, but it makes sense because she's been a champion this year. So within theory, that should not be a huge shock that she would be entering the Rumble late and have the opportunity to potentially main event WrestleMania. She was a champion for a while. The SmackDown Women's Champion, no higher women's belt on that show, and she had it for months. So, but R-Truth, I told everybody, if you've watched this coming leading up to the Royal Rumble at all, you watched anything I've been doing, I've said R-Truth is not going to come in 30th. I was surprised as all get out when it was Nia Jax. And she actually eliminates some people. She eliminated Ali, I think. I think it was Ali. He had 30 minutes in the match. He's one of the MVPs of this Royal Rumble. By the way, MVPs of the Women's Royal Rumble, for me, was Ember Moon. Ember Moon was the absolute MVP of the previous Royal Rumble, even though the Women's Royal Rumble, even though Becky, did great, and I'm a huge Becky fan and very happy with the way it ended. I think Ember Moon had the strongest showing within the Rumble. And Randy goes to RKO Nia at some point in time, and she totally blocks it. And then Dolph super kicks her. Ray does a 619, and then Randy hits an RKO on her. And it took 3 men trying to pick this woman off one by one to even get her out of the ring. Mysterio eliminated her, and then he took an RKO, and Randy eliminated Rey Mysterio. and Andrade eliminated Randy. So now I'm thinking that it's Andrade versus Ziggler, right? I think they're the final two. That's who I think is left in this Royal Rumble. I've lost complete track of Seth Rollins, like I said earlier. And at this point, I'm like, are you kidding me? It's either going to be Dolph Ziggler or Andrade in the main event at WrestleMania. It's going to be Andrade. I was thinking, Andrade has been so huge. He's been doing so well on SmackDown lately. It's going to be him. And it makes a certain amount of sense that they would have it be him. It's a bit of a left fielder, but it's not one that doesn't make sense. It's just not one we would have called, right? So I get all excited. I write it down really, really big. And then you can see the next thing I wrote down really, really big. I forgot about Strowman. Strowman comes in out of nowhere, and then he's wrecking everything. And then I forgot about Seth. Forgot all about him. Forgot all about Seth Rollins. The smaller competitors start picking Strowman off. Same way that they were doing to Nia Jax just a few minutes earlier than that. And they kind of hyena, they're trying to like pick at him like hyenas. And then all of a sudden, Strowman eliminates Andrade, then he eliminates Ziggler. And now all that's left is Rollins and Strowman. And again, just like the Women's Royal Rumble match, you couldn't ask for a better final two. I'm no Braun Strowman fan, but as far as the position he has in the company and the heat he has right now with management and with the fans a little bit, some people seem to really like him, and I wouldn't begrudge that. Like, we're all fans of some, right? You know, I'm just not a particularly big fan of him. But it's two big guys for the company. You couldn't ask for two better guys to be ending the Royal Rumble with. Strowman slams Rollins from the apron, and he kind of saves off elimination. And Seth doesn't really look good at this point in the Rumble. He's having a hard time. He's stumbling around. They're back out on the apron eventually here. I can't remember how they got back out onto the apron, and Rollins hits a stomp. He pushed Strowman over the top rope. Strowman's hanging on. They're fighting out on the apron, and then Rollins hits a stomp. And because the way that Strowman got over out onto the apron in the first place was by going over the top rope, that was it. It was over. Seth Rollins wins. This is just as good as the Women's Royal Rumble in a lot of ways. At the time, I feel like I didn't think it quite lived up, and I think it was because the Women's Royal Rumble was so good, and it was earlier in the night, and so if this Royal Rumble came before the Women's Royal Rumble, other than the big surprise with Becky coming in, I think maybe I would have had it ranked ahead of it. I have them rated the same, 4.5 stars. Altogether, this pay-per-view, with the Royal Rumble matches included, had 2 4.5-star matches for the Royal Rumbles. I gave 4.25 stars to the Universal Championship match. I gave 4 stars to the Daniel Bryan match with AJ Styles for the SmackDown Championship, WWE Championship. I say the SmackDown Championship all the time, and I know I probably shouldn't. I should probably be a little bit more professional about that. I do love wrestling after all. But Bryan, and again, I said that match probably could have been a 4.5 too if it had been earlier in the night. Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks, solid 4 out of 5. And then you had the 2 matches to start the show, which I gave a 3 to each of them. And you can see the various reasons why I said that the Asuka Becky match was only a 3, which from me is a good score. It's an above average score, so it's not like I'm trying to trash on it. But I thought that the match could have been better, so that's why I gave it a 3. This all together was an excellent pay-per-view. It should be. It's Royal Rumble. You don't want to get a bad one at Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, and you don't want to get a bad one at, something like Survivor Series. I thought SummerSlam was a little bit lackluster this year. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but it just doesn't really stand out in my memory as having been a great pay-per-view. This was really good. I will probably remember the Royal Rumble from this year come Royal Rumble next year. I'll probably still remember Royal Rumble this year. And I don't really know if I'm going to remember Hell in a Cell 2018 once Hell in a Cell 2019 comes around. TLC I'll remember. That was another great pay-per-view. But Hell in a Cell? I don't know. There's a lot of pay-per-views like that in the last year that were barely better than a good Raw. Maybe even weren't better than a really good Raw or SmackDown. So anyway, those are my thoughts. That was a really good pay-per-view. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about everything we're going to see going forward. The road to WrestleMania looks like it's paved in friggin' gold right now. Should be good TV, good pay-per-views. I'm excited for the women's tag titles at Elimination Chamber. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen going forward. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.